Hello again. For those of you who might have missed the presentation, my name is Russ Tribble, and I will be your new instructional technology specialist for this year. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you. But the purpose of this video is I wanted to share with y'all a model that I found particularly interesting. When you get lots and lots of new technology really rapidly, it's like you get loads and loads of iPads, it can be overwhelming. It's almost like, oh boy, I've got all this new stuff, now what do I do with it? How can I best take these iPads or these smart boards or this whatever the technology is and best incorporate it into lessons? Well, this model is intended to answer that question. It's to provide teachers with a framework to best utilize and incorporate technology that we have at hand. And this is that model. It's called the SAMR Model, S-A-M-R. And it was created by a man named Dr. Ruben Puentadura as a way to effectively integrate technology into classrooms. And SAMR stands for Substitution, Augmentation, Modification, and Redefinition. And it goes like this. Substitution is considered the lowest level of technology integration, whereas redefinition is considered the highest level. So what does all this mean? Well, let's go through them one by one. In substitution, the technology that you're using is just a substitute for another tool, but nothing really changes. It's kind of the difference between like writing on a chalkboard and doing a PowerPoint presentation. The kids are still in their seats, they're still looking at a board, but now there's just a projector in the mix. Nothing's really changed. It would also be like, rather than writing a report by hand, it would be typing it using a word processor. There you go. Nothing has really changed. At the next level, you have augmentation. Now, this is where technology is used to carry out learning tasks in relatively more efficient ways. The technology here adds value to the assignment, but doesn't really transform how it's done. For English, you might use a spell checker, a grammar checker, an electronic dictionary. If you're doing math, you go from doing paper and pencil problems to using interactive games like Motion Math to explore fractions. In science, it might be using a smartboard to label parts of the heart. Higher up, you have modification. Now, in modification, this is where technology is being used more effectively, not just to do the same task using different tools, but you're redesigning parts of the task. And this is where you start to see transformations in learning. An example here might be using Google Docs to collaborate on an assignment. Kid writes a report, uploads it to Google Docs or Office 365, and they can share feedback with one another. In math, it might be using screen capture with the Geoboard app and screencasting that. In science, it might be using digital tools to record interviews with doctors or patients. And at the highest level, you have redefinition. It means that students are using technology to create imperceptibly new tasks. It's like things that could never have been done without technology. This is where this is the creation stage. It's like instead of writing a report, you're making a movie with iMovie or something. You're working with other students around the world to figure out how equator affects daily temperatures and hours of sunlight. It's stuff that without technology, it couldn't exist. Now, I know you're all familiar with blooms. Well, blooms and SAMR line up pretty well, as it turns out, and they both have the levels of rigor. At the very bottom in blooms, of course, is remembering and recall. Well, that matches up pretty well with substitution. It's the lowest rigor. When you bring up augmentation in the SAMR model, then you're getting into the applying and understanding levels of blooms. Modification, this is where transformation starts. That's more applying, analyzing, and evaluating. And finally, with redefinition, the highest level of the SAMR model, that corresponds with blooms, evaluating, and creating. This is entirely new worlds. So, here are some questions. And these are really great for reflection. These are great for discussion. These are great for just, you can even have little arguments with your peers about, it's like, well, how does this work? What am I really doing with this? What will I gain if I replace old technology with new technology? What is this new task that's going to be happening? And finally, this is a great question right here. How is whatever I'm doing uniquely made possible by new technology? That's a lot, I know. And so I welcome any questions you might have about SAMR, and I look forward to discussions about this model. Feel free to contact me at any time, and I look forward to seeing all of you on campuses. I hope you all have a fabulous year.